What up, peeps?
We're there again. But we're up on the charts today. We're up on
Back
the
on
charts.
that supernatural shiznit, sir.
Okay.
This one here is a possessed nun's letter from the devil. Yes, sir. So,
Yo,
we're still here waiting to be convinced with some of these stories.
yo, then the devil write it to people. Then, yo, so where my letter this,
And that
sir?
me I say,
Because he just write it to people.
we are openly asking for a letter. And when I get it and read it, we will know if we are going to be convinced or not. I don't know. Maybe stop sending out letters. Maybe it's email now and
Yeah, man.
WhatsApp messages.
Letter from the party.
Alright. So Mr. Devil, sir, whatever you are, we are waiting for a message from you, sir, whether by email or WhatsApp, sir. SMS message, we don't give a damn. We need to be convinced as well. Alright, so let's go. Let's hear what this lady here has to say, or whosoever is talking about this now. 8 Bars Entertainment, the pre.
Yeah, boy, let's go.
On August 11th, 1676,
Okay.
a group of nuns were enjoying a choir performance in a convent in Sicily's Palma di Monte Chiaro when they noticed one of their members, Sister Maria, was missing. They quickly left to go find her, searching through the hallways and rooms of the large monastery. After looking around for a time, Maria was still missing, so the nuns decided to search her living quarters. As they neared the door, they became enveloped in fear, hearing screams and gasps coming from the other side. The nuns flung open the door, and what they saw would become part of a horrifying and bizarre mystery for the next 300 years. Demonic possession has been a popular tale of horror through the centuries, rising up in popularity every few years in the form of books, movies, and television shows. In reality, true cases of demonic possession throughout history were few and far between. This is especially true in more recent history, with ever-advancing medical science to explain human behavior and other phenomena. Before the days of modern science, however, mankind often looked to their faith and religious leaders to help cope with things they couldn't understand. While the scientific revolution was in full swing by the tail end of the Renaissance and Reformation periods, Europe was largely still a world of angels and demons during the late 1600s. Faith was an important aspect of everyday life, and prominent members of the church were revered for their strength in their faith. The nuns of Palma di Monte Chiaro were no exception. Every aspect of their lives were devoted to the service of God, above and beyond the piety of average members of society. Being so close to God, one would think they'd be the last to have their faith go astray. So it was especially harrowing when one of their own began struggling with her faith, acting erratically, and eventually falling victim to possible demonic forces that used her body to leave behind a cryptic coded message. This is the story of Sister Maria Crucifissa de la Contasione's letter from the devil.
Sir, what is that? I give you $1 million if you repeat that name, sir. I give you $1 million right now if you repeat that name letter for letter, sir.
So let me know. Give up.
Cryptic coded message. This is the story of Sister Maria Crucifissa de la Contasione's letter from the devil.
Sir, I couldn't even pronounce that name if it's written in front of me.
Oh my God. No, sir.
Sister Maria was born Isabella.
Okay.
Tomasi.
Okay.
Sister Maria. We work with Maria.
Yeah,
Sister
man.
Maria. We're good with Sister Maria around here. The rest of the name doesn't. We're not going to work with the rest of the name for today, sir.
Yeah, man. So you
Sister
work with
Maria.
Maria.
Alright.
Yeah.
Tomasi de Lampedusa in Sicily, who was an ancestor to the renowned Italian writer Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa. Not much is...
Sir, we are not interested in the rest of the name, sir. So just stick to Sister Maria and Sister Maria father, our mother, our Sister Maria sister.
Family. Then
Family.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
So Maria family.
in Sicily, who was an ancestor to the renowned Italian writer Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa. Not much is known about Maria's mother or what her own childhood was like before she joined the monastery. She entered the convent at age 15, beginning her spiritual journey of devoting her life to God while she was still just a child. The Palma di Monte Chiara was a Benedictine convent. which meant it followed the teachings of Saint Benedict, who founded the Benedictine order in the 6th century, making it the oldest religious order of the Western Church. The life of a nun is not an easy path, usually involving vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, with many waking hours devoted to prayer in an isolated monastery. It's credible that the 17th century Benedictine teachings were especially severe for the nuns at the Palma di Monte Chiaro, with high expectations to offer nothing to the work of God.
So you're the church name, so people pronounce the church name. Yes, struggling people pronounce the church name. Come on.
So you have got to church, sir. You are going to that church for how much years and you can't pronounce the name of it. You just know, I'm going to the church where the nuns are, sir. It's as simple. Sir, don't try to make a ass of yourself. If you cannot pronounce the name, just leave it.
Severe for the nuns at the Palma di Monte Chiaro, with high expectations to prefer nothing to the work of God.
And the church has started with the P word, sir.
At first, Sister Maria seemed to fall in line and adjust to her new life with the other nuns at the convent, keeping up with her studies and following along with their customs and traditions. She was involved in the choir, and over time became a skilled linguist, studying Latin, Greek, and Arabic languages, amongst others. It's unknown exactly when her behavior began to change, but at some point, Sister Maria began to suffer from alarming fainting spells during prayer at the altar. She would let out a chilling scream that echoed off the walls before passing out cold. Maria's behavior became more erratic over time, and she became paranoid and fearful, warning the other nuns that the devil would tempt her to serve evil rather than the good of God. At one point, Sister Maria decided to go to confession, where she would sit behind a divider and confess her sins to a priest and ask for God's forgiveness. Confession is a crucial aspect to keeping one's faith strong, and Maria likely hoped this would help her.
Alright, confessing your sins as a nun, you're not really expecting a nun to be confessing any form of sin based on their living and their oath or whatever they took, right?
No, hold on. But you have to remember what they do before they become a nun.
No. Before you become a nun, I believe you'd have to get rid of all of that. You'd have to wipe yourself clean. Right? And maybe some of them are just pure from
Look, no. Because my mind and she growing up at 15.
Yeah.
Basically, that means that she's a young child.
But I believe, I'm just saying, you could be right as well. But I believe if you're going to be a nun, you're not going to be a nun. It's just like you're going to be become a Christian then. You're not going to say I'm a Christian based on just the name and because I'm going to church. You'd have to be baptized.
Yeah.
And when you're baptized, that's supposed to wash away everything. Sort of a clean slate in a way.
Yeah,
so I think they would have something like that for the nuns, right?
Okay.
So whatever sins she's committing then, or she believes she's committing, would come from this devilish thing that seems to be controlling her body.
Oh, well, maybe.
But what is she doing then? What is this thing make her do that makes she has to come and confess? Because if it take over her body and just trying to convince her.
Yeah, see, because see, when I said before this, she black out and I tell them say the devil try make.
Yes, so to me, you're not doing anything wrong because you don't have no control over your body.
Real true.
You understand what I'm saying? So you really don't have anything to confess. But I'm waiting now to hear what it made her do that made her have to confess. Yeah. Because to say I'm going to confess because the devil is in me, that is nothing wrong because you probably never have any idea, that would happen. So I'm seeing what she have done. She has to do something to confess. All right.
Ease her escalating troubles. During this particular session, however, her behavior changed suddenly, and she began speaking disrespectfully to the priest, as if someone else was controlling what she said. She didn't realize her transgression until after the session, and became increasingly distraught. A few days later, everything would come to a head after Maria would fail to show up to a choir performance. The night before her absence, Sister Maria was alone in her room when she began experiencing a slew of fainting spells, more overwhelming than usual. Fading in and out of consciousness, she felt as though a force was taking over her body, without realizing what was happening.
Hold on, this is reaching a stage of nonsense to me now. Because this has been occurring. How are you going to leave her alone in the room by herself after all of this? Unless you don't believe it any at all that she's saying. How could she, all of a sudden, just be disrespecting the priest? Preach a boy, go your mother. Or you or whatever it is and you leave her alone in her room. No, you have to have some sisters around her.
Yeah, fear make
To
sure it's safe,
overlook,
because-
yeah.
and then monitor how she
Yeah,
be
anything
there.
is possible now.
Because so if you left her alone, this or
No, something wrong with that to me, sir.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the idea of that. I don't like the idea of she being left alone in her room. No.
Fading in and out of consciousness, she felt as though a force was taking over her body. Without
Again?
realizing what was happening, Maria grabbed a quill and some parchment and began scribbling out strange symbols across the paper, the likes of which no human being had seen before. Maria continued etching out the symbols hours into the night, her mind not fully present but her hand writing frantically as if driven by a demonic force. By the time the nuns found her in her room the next morning, she was in such a frightening state that she was almost unrecognizable. She was seated on the floor, exhausted and gasping for breath, the left side of her face smeared black with ink. Besides the shock of her disheveled appearance, she was surrounded by pages of a long, bizarre letter, each page containing unintelligible lines of obscure symbols that didn't match any known language. Unable to stand up, the nuns helped Maria lay on the ground and asked her what happened. What she told them was so shocking that one of the nuns, Mother Sor Maria Serafica, drew up a report of her story and the haunting incident, recounting, "She said that having confessed days before the demons told her that many words had spoken of irreverence toward her confessor, she saw herself surrounded by a great number of furious evil spirits sent by order of infernal Lucifer, and taking the paper and the pen that Sister Maria Crucifissa had in order to write, and commanding one of those damned spirits to write, Lucifer was immediately obeyed, and while dictated what he wrote, the words were all against God." No one but Sister
Alright,
Maria...
so I'm going to say they eventually figured out the language then. So how would they know that it is against God?
And hear the man say,
And
and that wasn't a language
Any language that is
wouldn't
known,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all I spoke to.
Alright.
herself knew the specificity of what the letter said. The only legible word it contained, alas, was found at the bottom of the page, positioned as if Maria had signed the letter off with it. Nonetheless, from what they had experienced together that day, the nuns concluded that the letter was part of an elaborate scheme by Lucifer to turn Maria away from God. Besides the understood opposition to God, the specific words and phrases hidden in the demonic symbols of the letters would remain a mystery for over 300 years. It wasn't until 2017 that a group of researchers from the Ludum Science Center in Sicily were able to decode most of the pages. Strangely enough, they discovered an algorithm on the dark web that they were able to use to help decipher it, along with a military-grade decryption software.
You see that dark web thing that people keep talking about? You understand what the dark web is? Well,
Some hear about it a while, but
somebody
never hear.
Somebody explained it to me in a form of there are information when it's deleted, whatever it is. Once it's deleted off your phone, you cannot find it back. Somebody might can come and retrieve it, but for most part, it's not there. Those garden are like the ghosts of the internet, like a graveyard internet. If they are still there now, even though it's all deleted and you can't get it back, it's floating around like in the internet space.
Yeah.
And you have people that can access it. So a lot of secrets are there. That's why it's called the dark web. Because there's a lot of dark stuff floating out there that just a very people have access to it. Like it's you have to be a special kind of person. Right?
With certain type of skills.
Not say skills. I could be in the black market if I want, but I have to pay to get there. And I have to be somebody that, I don't know if it's trustworthy or what it is, I don't know. But they don't give access to that to anybody. That's what I get to understand. Right? So they found this floating around. So who put it there in the first place? Since it was a language that was never, ever used or anything on this planet, who deciphered it? Who did it so it could be deciphered? You understand?
The symbols turned out to be a
I
scrambled
need an
combination
account on the
of
black
Arabic,
web.
Greek, runic alphabet, and Latin, all languages Maria had learned during her studies. While 30% of the letter was still indecipherable, the phrases that were able to be translated were indeed demonic. The phrases have a cynical and irreverent tone throughout. One line reads, "God thinks he can free mortals. This system works for no one." The letter goes on to describe God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirits as deadweights and created by man. God does not exist. Trinity is fake. There is only me. One of the strangest portions of the translated letter cryptically references something not a part of Christianity, but the river that separates the living from the underworld in ancient Greek mythology. Perhaps now, Styx is certain. Whether she eventually recovered from her ordeal or continued to struggle against her demons, Sister Maria's fate is unknown. 345 years later, she'd become mostly a figure of mystery and legend. But in the quest to study as many details of this chilling mystery as possible, Ludum Science Center director Daniele Abate was able to construct a psychological profile of Maria that offers a possible medical explanation for her torments. I personally believe that the nun had a good command of languages, which allowed her to invent the code, and may have suffered from a condition like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, which made her imagine dialogue with the devil. We believe that life as a noblewoman in
And
the
then, and then, in a then time, that nobody never know them stuff.
No. So it's just as a lot of things.
See, alright, I want on this. She probably has suffered a seizure.
Or something like that.
Which in a then time, there nobody never seen nothing like that before.
Yeah.
So she says, and I suffer a seizure. And at then time, then
Never think a devil.
So nobody never ever seen somebody in a seizure, and they not even know the term or what to use.
Yeah.
Somebody in a seizure. So two of them are religious and then these are the devil.
Yeah. It could be something like that for real. So I'm not saying that this scientific explanation is true.
No, but
I'm not going to say that it's true, but it's another way to look at it.
yeah.
If you don't believe it's that, it may be this.
Yeah.
It might not be any of them either.
Yeah, because if you never see something before and something happen, you can't put a name to something where you never see before.
So the thing is, this is what science does. They look at the situation. Listen to what you have to say about the situation. It does not sound logical to them. So let us do our test and see if we can come up with a conclusion or something close to what we are looking for. And they came up with this. They studied her pattern, whatever it was, and they said maybe it's this happened, it's not that.
Yeah, so they let her bipolar disorder. Yeah.
So I'm saying,
Yeah, maybe.
Science no must right either.
No.
She might be right, but who's to tell? It's just to listen to both sides and see which one you believe more.
Exactly.
Because it comes down to belief right there. If the science said this is it and we are positive that this is what happened and they prove it, then you can't go around it. Alright.
or bipolar disorder, which made her imagine dialogue with the devil. We believe that life as a noblewoman in the cloister caused her a lot of psychophysical stress, and this letter is the result of a bipolar disorder, but we were surprised to have found an overall logical sense despite the fact that 30% of the document remained incomprehensible. It's very possible that Sister Maria's lifestyle of strict devotion to piety and isolation could have in some ways aggravated her mental health and plunged her into a crisis.
Exactly.
It's feasible that with her eminent linguistic skills, creating this letter was a way of coping with the pressure of her life and the stress of her condition. With the absence of modern medical science, we'll never know exactly how many of these cases of possession, hysteria, or other phenomena were actually instances of a mental health crisis, misunderstood and therefore feared.
True.
Even in recent history, our understanding of mental health and its importance is still rapidly evolving, with perspectives shifting from neurotypical understandings of mental wellness to an effort of centering neurodivergent experiences and destigmatizing mental illness. Whether explained by science or the paranormal, Sister Maria's letter from Lucifer is certainly one of the most hair-raising mysteries to be born out of Italian history.
Alright, interesting. And as we said, we like to there's a lot of these things I've watched in the past, right? And it's just that, as you said, they could not be explained back then because the medical, the scientific advancement was not there. So when you see something for the first, and it looks scary, you're gonna think evil. It's evil. Right? Yeah. Because if you see somebody drop out there right now, as I say, shaking and frothing, we know that this is not a possession.
No, it can be caused by
seizure or
many more other things.
Yes, that has been proven.
Well, I know, but it can also be the devil. But without testing, you can't be sure.
True. It could be some form of a possession for real.
Yeah, but without testing, we just look on you, you just can't say.
Yeah, we are going to say he's having a seizure, she's having a seizure. until some test is run and then they say it's not any of those. It's something supernatural. Then we can say, oh, because we are not refuting that is possible as well. But we are just clinging to the possibility of a lot of these cases in those times. People were probably killed because of this. Because they did not know that the person is having some form of medical condition that they could not prove, and kill them because they say it's the devil possessed them. You understand?
Yeah.
So we are glad for science. We have to be happy for science.
Because if it wasn't for science, so enough of these cases wouldn't be proven.
Yes, and it probably would be continued that way. Your son fell, broke his toe, hit his head, and he started to, devil, burn him at the stake. Your poor little son being burned, so you can't do a thing about it because there's no scientific proof that he hit his head and it gave him a seizure or something. So anyways, another interesting one from Miss Sister Mary.
Maria.
Sister Maria, yes, Sister Maria.
So then,
Sister Maria.
no. So can I ask you?
Mary? Oh, no. I'll stick with Maria, sir. Maria. Hey, alright, so we're on to the next one. 8 bars.